Hey guys, welcome back. This is Chris, and what I have today is another edition of my lightsaber collection. This is Luke Skywalker's lightsaber from Return of the Jedi. This is a Roman Props steel weathered V2 with a crystal chamber reveal and a whole bunch of nice sound fonts. We won't go through all of them because some of the sound fonts you've heard in some of my other lightsaber videos. But again, this is one of those really nice cases, all nice wood case. We'll show you what's inside. Well, look at that. This guy is really heavy. I think I weighed it. It's close to 3 pounds. It is solid steel. It is a really heavy lightsaber. I'll go through it here a little bit. What I've done is I bought this from Roman Props, and I used the Mk1 Stock Custom Works Mk1 Chassis for this one, and there's one of the sound fonts, but I use the Mk1 chassis because it really fit. The problem with it is there's not a lot of room here in the sync knob area of this lightsaber. So what I ended up having to do is I ended up having to trim, because I don't have a lot of parts or machines to do this for me. What I had to do was trim back the chassis just a little bit inside the lightsaber. And then after I had done that, I had to go a little bit smaller on the battery. I had to go to an 18500 battery. A lot of people are going to gasp and go, Chris, I can't believe you did that. You're going to have no battery life. But this is more or less a shelf piece, one for display really only. So I don't really take it out and do cosplay or anything like that. So I don't really have to worry about it lasting a whole long time, but even an 18500 battery is going to last a while. This has a crystal chamber reveal, and it's going to look very similar to the Mk1 that I'm doing in one of my other videos. It's essentially the same setup for the most part. What I did on this one is, you'll see when I open this up, actually you won't see it, but instead of using neopixels to light the crystal chamber, I used LEDs, and I did that because the LEDs use a little bit less battery than the neopixels do. So I figured it would make the battery life last a little bit longer. And also I ran the crystal chamber lights as a separate blade. So they have their own different color than the blade does. I just did that for it to be a little bit different. There's a peek at it. It's got a nice little, it's been weathered really, really nice. It doesn't have your typical stencil weathering like you'll see in a V2. It's one of those things where I wasn't looking for a screen accuracy for that much. I was looking for a really nice heavy V2, and Romans does make great product. And I didn't want it to look like everyone else's. I didn't want, all the stencils to look the same. I like this look of the V2. I think it looks really, really nice. I think Roman's done a really good job. You've got the cone here, little cone knob here, and the little mystery chunk, which we now know is a boot cleat. So what I'll do, you've got the nice little D-ring here on the sync knob. So let's take it apart. We'll kind of show you what it looks like on the inside. Like I said, this is really a heavy, heavy lightsaber. You definitely don't want to drop this on your foot. So I'm going to take this back pommel section off. You can see that there. Now on the back, what I've got is a Profi V2.2 on here. I've got a power and a recharge port. You can see that there, main power button. And the 1.3 millimeter recharge port with the USB and the SD card for the Profi. You can hear it, turn it on there. Profi sits right in here. And then all the wiring kind of is built off to that. The battery sits right here. It goes to about right here. And then the speaker section sits here. I'm not going to take this all apart. I could take it all apart. The switch assembly pops out. The switches are actually right here. The power and the auxiliary is right in here. And if you follow along with my Mk1 build, you'll see how that's put together. You'll see that in the next few weeks. as to how we put that all together. But let's turn it on.
Smooth Jedi.
And I'll show you the crystal reveal and how that works. So similar, what you do is flip up this, give it a little twist, and away you go. Here is your crystal chamber reveal. Now in there is Stock Custom Works, natural bronze printed pieces inside the crystal chamber. There's also a fin section here on the back, and we've ordered these parts. Very similar parts of these have been ordered for our Mk1 build. It's got a nice crystal in there. Let's see if we can turn it on. We'll show you what it looks like. Getting a little static on the speaker. It's probably just a wire that's kind of touching. I haven't used this lightsaber in forever. So it's, like I said, it's been sitting for a while, so there's probably a wire that's just touching the speaker. Not a big deal. It's an easy fix. But that's the V2. Now the top section has got this neat little blade plug, and I'll show you how this comes apart. There's a little set screw, one very small set screw here. It's a very, very tiny set screw. It takes a very small Allen wrench to undo it. Give this a little twist. That pops out. Again, that's complete, that's steel. It's really, really heavy. There's no shine through on this though. This is the only thing I really don't like. The only shine through you can really get on this blade plug is if you take out this, take out this middle section of the blade plug. And there's a little set screw there, and you can take it out and you'll get a little bit of shine through. That's really the only thing I don't really like. They went for accuracy and not really for, shine through. And there is the Stock Custom Works NeoPixel right there. You can see it right there. It's a V2 Stock Custom Works NeoPixel connector. And it's reset. As you can see, unlike the Mk1, this one's got a cup. It sits in that emitter cup. If you go back and watch my Mk1 video, assembly video, the Mk1, what I've done is taken this cup out and then I've cut the sides down on this. But on this one, I haven't done that. This was, the first one that I built in this configuration, and I've created a recessed blade that will fit inside of here. So I didn't need to really make any modifications to the emitter at all. On my Mk1, I just wanted to do something a little bit different and try cutting that down and give me more room inside the blade so I don't have to use, the recessed blade. I can just buy a standard NeoPixel blade from really anybody, and it'll fit in that blade. So it makes it a little bit easier that way. If I break the blade or I lose the blade and I just don't feel like building one, I can just go out and buy a standard NeoPixel blade and it'll work in the other one. But this one, like I said, is a little bit different. It's got that recessed cup, and the blade actually has its PCB recessed up inside the blade, and it fits in between the cup and the inside of that emitter, and it fits in there pretty well. But you can see how it, you've got really nice shine on that. It really, it's really bright. It's it looks great. There's a lot of it's really, really bright. The blade's the same way. If you put a blade in here, it's super duper bright. It just looks really fantastic. And this is heavy. Like I said, this is like 2 to 3 pounds. I mean, this is not something, if you put this on your belt clip, good luck. I hope you got a really strong belt, because your pants may end up around your ankles if you wear one of these. But overall, a really nice hilt, really beautiful hilt. Looks great. A little tricky to build. Like I said, there's a lot of things you have to do to make this work. Some people who have, a machine shop at their house, they kind of hollow out the inside of this a little bit more so that the Mk1 chassis can fit in here, so they can get a full 18650 lithium-ion battery in here. I don't have that here, so I had to basically modify the chassis a little bit to make it a little bit shorter. So I'd have to put an 18500 battery in it. But for the most part, you know, it works just the same. The thing with the Roman Props clamp card, I want to talk about this real quick, is you can see through it. It's sort of translucent. And if you take it out, you can see the switch assembly there. There's a switch here.
Smooth Jedi.
That's your auxiliary, and this is your power up here. So what you have to do is when you get this clamp card, you have to really sand it down. So what I did was I took this, and it's a lot thicker than it comes, and I just sanded, used a Dremel, and then used I hand sanded it using sandpaper. Eventually, I got it to fit really, really nice up and in there, and the switches work great, and there are really no issues whatsoever. That's the one thing about the switch assembly. It fits inside of this clamp portion really, really nice. But in order for really to get really good action on it, you got to take this clamp card and really file it down so it's really, paper thin. So you got to be real careful because, the thinner you get, the more it warps, and you don't want to wreck it either. So, that takes a little bit of work. On the V2, it's not nearly as bad as the Mk1 because the Mk1 has a really thick plastic bubble strip, calculator bubble strip that you really need to work a lot on to get it to work. And some people just file the ends off instead of doing the whole thing. I might end up doing the whole thing so it's uniform. Some other folks tend to put shiny silver tape underneath your clamp card, especially translucent ones, so you don't see the switches. But honestly, I think it's fine the way it is. You can't really see the switches. And if you're looking at it, that close, then, that's one thing. It doesn't really matter to me. I prefer it just to look kind of natural the way it is. There you have it, the V2, Luke Skywalker's lightsaber from the Return of the Jedi. Roman Props has these on their website. If you go to romanprops.com, you can check them out and buy yourself one if you so feel like it. He also has his Mk1s and does Graflexes and other hilts as well. So big shout out to Roman for another beautiful hilt that he's done, the Steel V2. Thanks for joining me. I appreciate it. If you like this video, go ahead, like and subscribe. Otherwise, I'll talk to you next time. Be on the lookout for some more of my lightsaber videos. Thanks. I appreciate it. See you next time.